continuing our adventure in Minato-Ku, we have come to Shinagawa. And Shinagawa is kind of like there's lots of businesses and stuff in Shinagawa. It's like, don't want to say industrial, it's like office parks and things like that, like salarymen come here. And it's Sunday right now, but if you come here in the mornings on a weekday, this hallway that's behind me is just like crammed full of like salarymen and like OL office ladies, like in their black suits with their black hair, and it's like, it looks like March of the Penguins or something. I'm serious, that sounds really horrible, but it's true. And I've come here quite a few times. So you have to come here to come to immigration for our visa stuff every year. So like, I'll come through that crowd and like, I'm like this giant white guy dressed, you know, like this around all these penguins, and I'm always like, I feel kind of out of place. But like, seriously, the hallway is like crammed full of people. It's really iconic looking and really cool. It's like, if you're ever in the area on a weekday morning, you should get up and come out of here and you should see it. It's just something that I don't think you'll see anywhere else. Like, it's so unique. So we came down here this morning and we were like, okay, we're gonna get some breakfast. And Katie had an idea for a morning buffet. That we were like, oh, buffet with morning like breakfast food? Like, that sounds awesome. So we went to this like little, I don't know if I even want to give it the praise of the word restaurant. It's more of this little corner, and like, it was like a bar, like you could get wine and stuff for breakfast, which I was like, what the hell's happening? And then like they had this little tiny area where you could get like breakfast food, scrambled eggs and stuff. But like, there was no people, the people working there didn't know what the hell was going on, and like we were like, we want to sit down, there are all these empty seats, and they were just like, I don't know what to do. So like we stood there for like 15 minutes or something, and we were like, screw these people. So we just left and we went to a like a little coffee shop, and they had like a morning set. So we were able to get
breakfast for breakfast.
Breakfast for breakfast, yeah. Something a little more hearty than what we had yesterday. Not that I'm knocking those pancakes. Those pancakes were really good. But it wasn't like a bowl of sugar. Like, I actually had some eggs and some sausage and some toast and things like that. So
energy food.
Yeah, energy food. So I think that might, like, maybe not quite as delicious, but probably better for me. And from here, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna go outside, we're gonna see what else is outside in Shinagawa around the train station. I think that maybe the time to come here would be the weekdays, because that's when people will be here, but maybe it'll have a different vibe during the weekend. I have no idea. I don't think I've ever been down here on a Saturday or Sunday. So, yeah, let's check it out. I don't know.
Apparently there's going to be a festival here right outside of the station, but it's 10:30 to 11 o'clock, and it probably doesn't start until 12 or something like that, where they actually start getting things prepped and people are coming in and they're actually making and selling food and stuff like that. It kind of feels like a Western, like before the shootout, you know how everybody goes inside? I feel like we're about to have a shootout. Not very far from the station at all, there are these huge towers. I think one of them is called the Central Tower, and another one is like a Mitsubishi building or something like that. It's Mitsu something building. And they're just huge office buildings. We don't think anyone lives in them at all. And that's kind of the feeling that you get about Shinagawa, is that no one lives here. It's just business, 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 and then people throwing up at the restaurants, which happened this morning, throwing up at the restaurants because they missed last train. No one lives here. That's all that happens. But we've come here and we're actually in the central garden. And there's lots of trees here, which trees is not something that you see very often, especially this number of trees. So it's kind of exciting to see all these trees. And we actually found a flea market that's here. So a little bit of life is coming into Shinagawa. So we're gonna go to this flea market and I'm gonna drive Eric nuts. Eric said don't take very long at the flea market. Not possible. There are a lot of random cool things like at this flea market. There are ancient pins, like pins from all sorts of random clubs that you would never be in, but you could get a pin for that club. I really enjoyed looking at those. There are like little electronics things that are kind of strange, but mostly it's old lady clothes. It's basically old lady clothes.
So why don't you buy some?
none of them, maybe I am like old lady size. I did not buy any clothes. Yeah, so most of the stuff over there was kind of boring. I was looking for something, but I didn't find anything that matched it. So we're moving on. I would like to stay at the flea market for like hours, but we can't do that today.
When exploring Japan, especially around train stations, it can kind of become important to keep in mind that each side of the train station can feel vastly different just from the other side. So you can walk out one set of doors and walk into one world, and then walk out a different set of doors and you're in a completely different world. And that applies to a lot of train stations actually. Like in Kumagaya, like one side was kind of shady and the other side was like the normal side. So like, it was just like, they had vastly different like atmospheres. And Shinagawa kind of has the same type of thing going on where the other side of the train station,
the east side.
Yeah, is it the east side? Yeah, the east side of the train station is really built up with like lots of really big buildings and lots of like it feels like that side of that train station feels like an airport, like an international airport. This giant hall and like it's very modern. And this side of the train station feels like older, like it hasn't been as developed as much, and there's like lots more trees and like parks and stuff, and the buildings aren't quite as like huge and everything. So like, yeah, like if you do come to explore like different areas in Japan, go out both sides of the train stations because it's interesting to see like how different they can be. And sometimes I've gone to train stations, I've gone out one side, and every time I go there, I go out one side, I'm like, that train station, there's nothing interesting there. And then like after years, I go out the other side and I'm like, whoa, there's a whole nother planet over here that I didn't even know existed. Like tons of places to eat and interesting things to look at. So it's just important to like actually check both sides of every train station, I think.
There's been some construction going on in Otsuka Station, and we have a lot of ideas about what might be happening, but we have just figured out something that is a definite candidate for the construction outside of Otsuka Station. Here in Shinagawa Station, I was wandering around this bike area and we saw these little pods just sticking up outside of the ground. There's about 5 of them, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I wandered around, and then the man that runs the place came up and he just was like, come over here, I want to explain this to you. So he started explaining everything to me. He showed me this document that showed kind of this circular storage area underneath the ground. And in the picture, there's tons and tons of bikes. He told me there is a possibility of putting 200 bikes underneath the ground of each pod. And essentially what happens is people will get a membership, and he said it's 1,500 yen a month, which is super, super cheap. And that means they can bring their bike here at any time, day or night. They take the bike up to this little bot. On the bike, where their front wheel is, there is the fork at the front of the wheel. They put a sensor onto the bike at that area, and the sensor is read by this sensor friend. And the sensor friend tells this little tiny door to open. That tiny door opens and you slide the wheel inside. Once the wheel's inside, you press the go button and it pulls the bike inside onto a track. The track then lowers and it rotates the bike to the particular angle it needs to be for that bike's parking spot. And you can just park your bike underground. You don't have to worry about rain or anything like that. And there's no space on the ground being taken up by this facility. It is outstanding. I used to have a parking spot, and it was not as cool as this. Somebody actually came to get their bike out, so we had to move, but it was excellent to watch them get their bike out. It's so easy. They just swipe their card, and the machine knows, okay, it's this bike, it's in this parking spot, and in 5 seconds, it's back.
Kichi, ni, san, yo, go. Hey.
Wow! It's really incredible, and we told the guy running the place that this is not happening in America, it's only happening in Japan, and he was quite fascinated. I think he feels pretty good. And I think he liked knowing that we were really interested in his job. We're currently walking between Shinagawa and the Tamachi area. Tamachi is a station that is kind of the closest station to the Rainbow Bridge on the Yamanote line. There's other closer stations on other lines, but Tamachi is the closest one on the Yamanote line. Anyways, we're walking between those two, and I could be wrong about this. Don't quote me on it, even though we're going to record it and it's totally quotable. These islands that are out here that we're going from one to the other, I think they are the trash islands, and they were built basically on trash. And they all kind of form little different shapes, and they're connected by these great bridges, and there's tons of canals in this area going through these islands that were just made. So it's a really nice cooling area. Like a breeze is running through here, and there's lots of big buildings, but it still feels breathable.
The buildings seem residential too.
Yes, definitely a lot of residential here, but it's going to be the upper crust of the upper crust here. I cannot even imagine the apartment costs in this area. I want to know. I want to know. Last year I used to work in this area, and most days I'd go to 7-Eleven and eat lunch there, or I'd buy lunch there and take it somewhere else and eat it. But when I actually wanted to go to a restaurant, I would come here to what we call the biker bar. It's actually called Super Racer, but it is a motorist cafe, and they must be on some sort of biker website because there's tons of bikes outside, and bikers are coming here and congregating here and eating good meals here. The food isn't necessarily remarkable. I mean, to me it's kind of standard Japanese fare. I'm getting the curry dish. It's just standard food, but it's really cool. The ambiance of the restaurant really feels like they could just pull a bike in here, fix it lickety-split, and they'd be out of here and off on the road with a full belly at the same time. That's the way this motorist cafe feels, and I think they've done a really good job. I always enjoyed coming here when I was working across the street, so I kind of missed it.
I ordered a roast pork platter, and it looks pretty good. It looks like slow cooked and stuff, like it's just kind of falling apart on me, and that's really amazing looking. So let's go. I am excited. This is not standard Japanese fare. I can't remember the last time I saw something like this in Japan. Oh god, it was really good. It was really good. It's like almost like the texture of southern barbecue in the States.
Or I can smell it.
The sauce isn't like a barbecue sauce. It's a bit salty almost, but the texture is like unbelievable. It's really good. And I had a choice between bread and rice. And I would usually go with the rice, but the roast pork, that really sounds like this should be what's going on.
You're gonna make a sandwich?
I'm thinking a sandwich is gonna happen. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Here in the Tamachi area, I have one thing that I thought was really cool, and it makes me feel really futuristic, or that I'm living in the future, which a lot of people feel like Japan must be the future. But one of the things that makes me feel future is the monorail that goes through the Tamachi area. The monorail is an unmanned, no one's driving this train, above ground train system. So essentially the train just flies above your head. No one's driving it, but there's tons of people on it. It's just kind of like mayhem that is working. And I just love seeing it and feeling it go by. You just think like, wow, we're definitely in the future. The future of, I don't know what time, could be the future of any time, but I just think it feels really cool. I'm always in awe as it goes by. So that's one of my favorite things to see. While the location of my old work wasn't really that great in dining or convenience, the view from this amazing wedge, which I used to be on the 12th floor of, is the Rainbow Bridge itself. And that was stunning. You'd come into this big room and all you would see was the Rainbow Bridge and the harbor and all these different modes of transportation moving around, like monorails and boats and people, and everything just seemed like it was on the go, and it felt really great to be sitting up there. And I'm happy to be back here and see it, but I can't go up to that 12th floor anymore, and that makes me kind of sad because I've kind of felt elite. Definitely felt elite. But we're gonna go see the Rainbow Bridge, and we're actually gonna walk across it. You can totally walk across the Rainbow Bridge. It's completely free, and you should just do it. It's kind of fun.
I like that you can see the train go by in the middle every once in a while. You're on a bridge with cars and then train! They have these pictures on the Rainbow Bridge that show like what you're looking at, but the pictures are kind of old, which is neat because you can kind of see like where things have changed. In this case, there's like this factory area on this island over here, and now they've changed it and they're building the Olympic Village. So you can see the Olympic Village being constructed for the 2020 Olympics out there.
The other side of the Rainbow Bridge lands you in Odaiba, and Odaiba usually said Odaiba, but Odaiba is the name of the station, and that's the name we saw on the bridge, but I call it Odaiba. I'm not sure if there's really a difference, or maybe I'm just making it more honorable than it really is. Anyways, we're in Odaiba, and Odaiba is a great, great place. It's kind of boring, but it's kind of magical at the same time. One, you can see the Rainbow Bridge in all of its glory from Odaiba. Two, there's a beach here. It's not the best beach in the world, but it's weird to see a beach in such a metropolis. Three, lots of shopping and always interesting things going on along the boardwalk that's here. Four, random fun things to go and do, such as like the Fuji TV building and things like that, and many, many other things. We just actually found some nature here, standing on this little peninsula that's on the other side of the seashore of Odaiba. So now I'm starting to see that Odaiba's got a lot to give, and you have to give it that moment, or at least some time to show you its life. So, good job, Odaiba. I always thought that the beach at Odaiba was kind of crummy and just, ugh, why would anyone come here? But look at this. The sun is gorgeous. The beach, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's the best thing in Tokyo for beach. So it's pretty nice right now, and we're taking a stroll, and it just feels lovely, and I really wish I had a prairie dog with me right now. I'm not sure how I'll get him off. Where are you going?
Best friends.
Prairie dogs just happened.
Wait, what? Prairie what?
Prairie dogs. I'm not sure. We were just walking by, and then like 7 prairie dogs came out of the ocean. No, they didn't come out of the ocean. They came out of pet cages. These people just have prairie dogs, and one's really, really friendly, and I let it climb all over me. But one thing to learn about me is that the phobia that I have, and I guess everybody has a phobia, I have a phobia of small animals biting me. Like, I won't touch near their face because I'm worried they will bite me. I don't know where this phobia started, but I prefer to wear gloves when touching small animals, and there were no gloves. So you're gonna see me chicken out a lot with the prairie dog, but in the end, I let the prairie dog jump on me. It was great.
There is actually little kind of touristy boat cruises that you can take back and forth across Tokyo Bay, and they will come from over on the other side of where the Rainbow Bridge is, and they come over here to Odaiba, and they go back and forth. You can actually take them all the way up to Asakusa as well, and go to, what is it, Sensoji, which is a famous temple area that a lot of tourists like to visit. So if you were visiting the area and you wanted to have a really cool day, you could go to the Sensoji area and then take a boat all the way down to Odaiba and check out Odaiba and stuff. It'd be pretty fun. The boat cruise is, I mean, it's a boat cruise. It's not like a wild ride. It's not like a roller coaster or anything, but it's like a pleasant way to look at the city and see the landscape, the cityscape and everything. And then just, come down to Odaiba and enjoy that. So yeah, we always recommend that. If you have the time, take the boat cruise. It's very pleasant. The problem here is we want to do it today, but looking at the timetable, looks like the last one leaves at 6:30. I don't think we're going to be finished exploring this area by then, so we're probably going to be training it back to the apartment tonight. I'm not really clear why there's a Statue of Liberty in Odaiba, but it's kind of cool, but kind of just kitschy, and I don't know. It's a bit strange. Why isn't it just a Godzilla or something? But instead we've got a Statue of Liberty. It just seems why are there 2 statues of Liberty? I don't even understand. They're not trying to. It doesn't seem like they're trying to emulate the United States or anything over here. I mean, maybe a little bit. Not really. But there's a Statue of Liberty.
we've come to the Fuji TV building, and it looks kind of intimidating to me outside. I always thought, oh, there's nothing to do in there, and we kind of realized there's nothing to do in there. We've come inside, and it's very cool because they have taken all of these like UFO games and shops, and they've filled it with the shows that are shown on their channel, but there's really not much going on other than commerce. You can go up to the top, but again, just looking at the building is the exciting thing. The building looks interesting, and we can enjoy the view from the boardwalk across the street without having to pay however much money they wanted. We didn't even look. But behind me is a Sazae-san, one of the television shows that they have, and it's really cool. You can come here and buy little things that are about the television shows. It isn't just Tokyo Omiyage, it's Fuji TV Omiyage, which is pretty cool. Oh, come on. We're currently on a bridge, and this bridge actually splits Minato-Ku and Kotoku. So right here is the line. Behind Eric, Minato-Ku. Behind me, Kotoku. I'm a stickler for the rules, alright? This is a video about Minato-Ku. But Eric has convinced me that we'll do a little bit of cheating just to let you know there's even more to do and see in Odaiba. But we're just gonna give you a little glimpse because you only need one thing to make you want to go across this bridge. Enough said. Cross the bridge. So we were checking out the map for Odaiba and we saw a land boat. And then we came to the land boat. It seemed ridiculous. Why is this boat on land? What is going on here? Turns out it is the Maritime Museum, so it's closed at this point and we're not really interested in going inside, but there's a boat on land. What you got there?
We've got a taiko. It's a Japanese drum. And we're at a ramen restaurant that apparently, so in Japan, every different area has its own like twist on ramen, and this place specializes in specializing in special ramens. So they have like, you can get Hokkaido ramen or Kyushu ramen or Chiba ramen or Kyoto ramen here. So we're gonna check it out and each get hopefully some different kind of ramen. I am thinking about Sapporo ramen from Hokkaido, and I think Katie might have been chosen for the Chiba ramen because it was red and spicy as her thing lately. The entrance to this place though is pretty wild looking. Like we're on this little bridge and like, I don't know, it's pretty wild looking.
Undoubtedly the best reason to come to Odaiba is that after dark, you get to see Tokyo from Tokyo. You're still in Tokyo, but you're outside of Tokyo, like the metropolis area, and you really get to take in all that is the conglomeration of buildings and lights and spectacularness that you can't take in like when you're standing in the middle of Tokyo. You can't see it, can't feel it, don't get the impression of how big it is. And then when you come to Odaiba, everything settles and you just get to see the city and the cityscape for what it is, and it is gorgeous. When I started coming to Odaiba for the first time, that was the only reason to come. But now I've seen there's a lot of other reasons to come. This is still the icing on the cake. And the icing on top of that cake is ramen. And it's actually kind of dark outside, so we have to go pretty technical, and we gotta break out a light here.
Well, the light has a dead battery, so we have to plug a battery into the light.
This is the ramen that I've chosen, and if you've seen our Chiba video, this is tantanmen, and I love it. I didn't know that's what they were going to be specializing in, stupidly, but that's the kind that I've gotten. It needs to be mixed up and eaten, and I'm prepared to do that, but not with this in my hands.
And I got a Hokkaido ramen, and it is a miso butter corn ramen. So what's interesting about this is like this here is a big block of butter that gets mixed into the soup, and then you get a unique flavor that I don't know if I've had this before, to be honest with you.
Oh,
this
man,
might be new.
You got moyashi too.
Yeah, and I got the moyashi and everything. This place is pretty cool. It's like I thought it was going to be kind of crummy looking, just like a kitchen, and like one guy's making all the different soups, but it's actually broken into different stalls, and each stall specializes in one specific type. So I am hoping that this is like going to be a pretty legit experience. So let's check it out. Sorry about the lighting. We have had to
Mix that butter in, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. The butter is not dissolving super fast. So I'm just gonna try to get a taste of the broth and see what we got. So, oh my God, really buttery. I put it in the butter pocket. I want to try the noodles too. Ooh, it's got a little bit of kick to it. It's a little bit spicy.
Oh, speaking of spicy, I went Yonban, level 4 on my spice. I'm
What's the
a bit
highest level?
scared. 5.
5?
They said standard was 3.
Really, really hot right now.
Your slurp's pretty good.
My slurp game is strong, man. Yeah, hey, that's pretty good. My biggest complaint right now is that the bowl has got so much in it, I don't know how to mix the butter in properly. Like, I don't know how to get it out of like this little pool. Like, I'm gonna have a deadly butter incident if it doesn't spread out a bit. Yeah, you know, look at this, some meat in here and everything. Yeah, nice. Yeah, if you're in Odaiba and you want to try ramen, this would be a pretty cool place to come. Like, and the view at night, like what Katie said, this is amazing. Sit out here and look at the Rainbow Bridge. This is highly recommended. Very awesome.
I will come back.
Yeah.
I said Yonban, level 4. Spiciness. Here we go. That's like a level 1.
You could do the Goban next time.
Oh, I'd go higher than that. 6 bond, 7 bond. So Fuji TV, the Fuji TV tower, didn't turn out to be really anything amazing, but at nighttime they actually do a light show on the outside of their building, and it's kind of cheesy, but it's kind of interesting at the same time, just to watch all the shapes go by, and there's some music, and everybody's just staring up at it like it's a firework. It's kind of fun. We've landed at Shimbashi again, having taken the monorail. We call it the monorail, we don't really know what it's called. It's one of those things that's at airports that has like tires and it takes you from Terminal A to Terminal B. It's one of those things, and we went from Odaiba to Shimbashi. So we're back kind of in the heart of Tokyo, near the Yamanote line. We'll be hopping on that to head home in just a moment. But I just wanted to say, Minato-Ku is pretty good. I have a soft spot in my heart for Minato-Ku because I've been working in it for almost 2 years now, and I'm glad that I've moved to Omotesando because there's a lot more to do there than there is in Tamachi, and it's kind of made it really fun to get to know Minato-Ku. And I realize I do know a lot about Omotesando. I still don't know much about Roppongi, but I think we've got to go there and prepare for a dirty time. Shimbashi is really exciting, and I want to go back many times. And Shinagawa, probably gonna go there for immigration. That's just the way it is. Odaiba, it'll be a pleasure to go back anytime. And Minato-Ku is just great. Period. Bye-bye. Wow! That is so cool. It's all right. I didn't get much closer than this.
Hey everyone, we have a Patreon page and we'd really like for you to check it out. It'll allow you to contribute to us and make these crazy adventures we've been going on continue and get even better. So we'd really love for you to follow the link and learn more about Patreon and us. Go for it. Let's adventure.